Okay, timer started. The problem says write a method that will return the count of distinct case-insensitive alphabetic characters and numeric digits that occur more than once in the input string. The input string can be assumed to contain only alphabets, both uppercase and lowercase, and numeric digits. Okay. So, as usual, the inputs are a string that apparently can contain lowercase and uppercase letters and numeric digits, but it looks like these test cases only contain letters. Okay, so I'll put a string that contains letters, uppercase and lowercase, and digits. And the output is an integer. Return the count to distinct case-insensitive alphabetic characters and numeric digits that occur more than once. So count of letters and digits that occur more than once in the string. That occur more than once in string. Oops. So the question is, what should be done with the input? Okay. So let's go through each example. A, B, C, D, and E. Each letter occurs only once in the string, so that returns 0 because none of the letters occur more than once. And obviously for the empty string, the count is 0. For example 3, A occurs 1, 2, 3 times. That makes the count 1. B occurs once. C, so does C and D and E. Okay, so count is only 1 for this string because A occurs more than once. And that's the only letter that occurs more than once. For this example 4, we have an uppercase letter B here and a lowercase b. So we need to count the number of distinct case-insensitive characters, meaning that doesn't matter what case it is, if it's the same letter, it's going to be counted. In this case, a letter B occurs more than once, therefore that's a letter that needs to be counted. And so does a letter A. So that's why the output is 2. In this last test case, we have the word indivisibilities. Right off the bat, I can tell that the letter I occurs more than once in the string. It doesn't matter that it's uppercase or lowercase. The output is 2, so what is the second letter? D, I, V, S, B, L, T, E, S. Okay, S occurs more than once, so that is included in the count. Alright, so now I know what I need to do. What should be done with the input? So the first thing I need to do is, let's see, I'll create a variable called count. This is the one that's going, this is the count that I think should increment every time we encounter a letter that occurs more than one time. And then in order to keep track, so okay, this is what I'm thinking. I want to iterate over the string and say for this string, the second one here, we encounter the letter A. We're going to check if it occurs more than once in the string. It won't. And it won't for either letter in the string, any of them. So the count will just return 0. So actually, let's just move on to this example. Actually, this is the example that I need to look at. For letters that occur more than once, since I'm iterating over the string and looking at each letter, I'll say for letter A, does that occur more than once? Yes. So I want to increment the count by 1. I will also do that for B. I won't do anything for C or D or E. But here, once I get to the letter A, then it will ask the question, does this letter occur more than once in the string? And the answer will be yes. So the count will be incremented again. So that's 1, 2. So the count will now be 3. And it will also do the same for B. So instead of being 2, the count will end up being 4, and that's not correct. So I need a way to check if we've already counted a letter that has been counted more than once. And so once we iterate through the string and we encounter that letter again, we can say, has this letter already been counted? If yes, then it will skip that letter and it won't be counted again. All right, here we go, create a variable count, and then I think I can hold the letters, in this array to check if it's already been counted. But I think I'm just going to delete this. I think I will say that for the algorithm. What should be done with the input? So before I get too far ahead and start thinking about code, let me think about how to solve it with just using plain English first. So I need to iterate over the string and count occurrences of each letter. And then I can increment a count by 1. We'll put number 1 by 1 for each, I'll say, multiple. Oh my goodness, I can't spell. Multiple occurrence. If the letter has already been counted, then we should just skip that iteration instead of adding 1 to count. So if letter has already been counted, then I can just say skip iteration. Okay, so I think that's the gist of it. Spend a lot of time making spelling mistakes. Okay. First thing I need to do is initialize count to 0. I think that's the first thing to do, yeah. And then I also need to create the array that will hold all the duplicate letters. I'll just call it duplicates. So an empty array. And then, because I have to deal with uppercase and lowercase letters, I think I need to reassign R-E-A-S-I-N-I-G-N. Okay, reassign string to string.downcase. That way I don't have to worry about downcasing letters while I'm iterating. And then I can iterate using each car and pass a letter to the block. Now, okay, so this I think needs to come before anything else because it will increment count by 1 if there's nothing like stopping it from doing so. So if we're already down here, it will count it before I have a chance to say like don't count it. So I think I should say I could use next if the current letter, I'll say it this way, if duplicates include the current letter, otherwise if string.count of the letter is more than 1, then we can increment count by 1. And then we can add that letter to duplicates if it occurs more than once. Add letter to duplicates. So then on each iteration, if it encounters a letter that already occurred more than once, that check should make sure that the iteration will skip if it's already been counted. So that way I don't count it more than what it should be. And then I can just return count. That sounds okay for now. So let's get on with the code. Define duplicate count, string as parameter. All right, we're going to initialize count to 0. And we're going to initialize this array duplicates. And then we need to downcase this whole string so we don't have to worry about it later. Now we can iterate. So I'm just going to output each letter to make sure that it is, in fact, an array of letters, and they're all lowercase. Indivisibilities, A, B, C, D, E, A, B, lowercase, yes. Great. Now that the string is lowercase, I can move on. So here we are. Next, if duplicates include letter. Okay? Easy to follow. Next, if duplicates dot include letter. All right. Oops, I don't know why I did that. If the string count of the letter is greater than 1, the count needs to be incremented by 1, and we need to add that letter to the duplicates array. I think I have one too many n's here. Okay. Following my algorithm, that looks about right. So now we just need to return count. So these should all return true. And it does. Sweet. Okay, so that took me about 12 minutes, 30 seconds. Not too bad. I think I followed the algorithm, like I said, pretty much exactly how I wrote it. And it helped to kind of figure out what I wanted to do with the problem before I even started thinking about code. It looks pretty good, I think. Looks easy to read. Yeah.